What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and another defense spotlight. Today it is finally time to talk about the boost auras, as I have been getting quite a few requests for them. And boost auras, it's kind of funny. You've got one side of the fence that says it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you've got the other side that says it's a complete junk defense and needs to be removed. The truth to the matter is, boost auras can be extremely effective, are very, very versatile, and a solid addition to anyone's build. Let's take a look at a couple of different boost aura setups. I'll show you the various ones I've used and what I currently use. Now, first off, let's start up with the brute force build, I like to call it. This particular build, I'm going with Power Servo, Diverse Power Servo, and a Diverse Crit Damage Servo. Now, depending on your playstyle and depending on how many defenses you like to put in your boost aura, Diverse Crit Damage Servo may not be for you. You need to have at least 3 unique different defenses down in the area of the boost aura for Diverse Crit Damage Servo to equal and be slightly better than just the Crit Damage Servo. So if you like to just throw like a couple of flame auras inside of your boost and call it good, Diverse Crit Damage Servo is not what you want to use. Now, if you like to mix it up and say you like to put a flame aura, a lightning strike aura, and a proton beam, then Diverse Crit Damage Servo is going to give you a slight edge over just Crit Damage Servo. As far as the shards for this setup, Destructive Pylon is definitely going to be a best in slot in the boost aura. There's a lot of folks that won't even use the boost aura if they don't have Destructive Pylon in it, and there's no doubt that Destructive Pylon just makes your boost aura super, super mean. Now, in combination with that, I'm using Deadly Strikes and Boosted Power. Of course, the Destructive Pylon drops in Mastery. Deadly Strikes is from Chaos 3. And Boosted Power is from Chaos 6. Now, if you have yet to complete Mastery and you don't have your Destructive Pylon yet, just throw a Destruction Shard in there from Chaos 1, and it's actually going to give you a really nice boost to just raw power. It's not going to get the additional benefits of the Destructive Pylon, though. Using a setup similar to this, you're going to take, say, a 1.5 million DPS Tooltip Flame Aura, and you're going to turn it into a 2.21 million DPS Flame Aura. So with this setup, I'm getting about a 50% increase in tooltip DPS, and definitely a massive addition to the power I have on my Flame Auras. Now, this is an extremely effective setup, and particularly good in mid to early end game. Now, say you want to push further in Onslaught. You're not happy just going up to floor 100 or floor 80 or whatever you decide to do. You want to push to the limits and see what you can do. This may not be the best setup for you. So let's take a look at what I'm using now and some of the general builds that I kind of put together with my boost auras. Now, first off, I'm going to get rid of Destructive Pylon and Boosted Power. What? Crazy talk, right? No. And here's the reason. Late Onslaught is not about raw DPS. The mid-tier of the game and the early end game, absolutely, you can muscle through all the content, no problem. When you get to higher Onslaught tiers, one of the most beneficial things you can do is crowd control your lanes. So the worst nightmare in Onslaught for me personally is a lane that can't be slowed or it can't be stunned. Now, if it's all Frost Orcs, I'm good because I've got lots of Frost setups. However, if it's a general lane that the mutators make it so enemies can't be slowed or can't be stunned, it eliminates so much damage potential. If a lane can't be stunned, I'm going to instantly put slow on it. If a lane can't be slowed, I'm going to instantly put stun on it, and that's just what I do to go to it. Now, the boost aura has a very, very unique benefit, and that is I'm going to throw Vicious Strikes in there, and then go with Boosted Power, or Boosted Grasp, pardon me. And one of the huge benefits of Boosted Grasp is it stacks with the chill effect. So a Frostbite Tower plus Boosted Grasp equals a ridiculous slow that is just a complete roadblock. Here's a quick look at Omega Squad Beta Lane from floor 235, and you'll see these enemies just go into extreme slow motion mode the second they hit these defenses. Now, stacking the boosted grasp and the frosty power gives you lots of benefits altogether, besides just the slow. So we saw what we could do with just the boosted power on just a regular old flame aura with nothing else. Now keep in mind too, if you do want to do the raw power builds and you're going to do boost aura every time, you might want to consider throwing a boost mod on your defenses. Something like this damage buff servo here would do very good for you. The problem with this particular mod is you have to use that boost aura every single time. If not, you're basically just giving this mod slot up. So I personally don't use this mod. However, if you like your boost auras, by all means throw it on there and maximize the power you get. Now let's get around to changing up that setup. Now since I don't have the destructive pylon on my boost aura anymore, I'm going to move it over. And another really cool thing about the boost aura is the boost aura will gain the benefits from destructive power. So awesome. You don't have to have it in there. If we take a look, the defense power bonus is 7705. If we throw that destructive pylon near it, we're going to watch that go right on up to 11.6. So it gets a nice jump from the destructive pylon and it does get the benefit. Of course, a Frostbite tower doesn't get that benefit. Now let's take a look at a standard setup I use quite frequently. Now as I mentioned, all about getting that destructive pylon on there, and then we need some raw power, so let's throw one flame aura in the mix. Now taking a look at this here, we've spent 90 DU, we've got a nice bit of pain going on there. However, we want to go a little bit further. Now double stacking the vicious and deadly gives us that nice big range, so all the enemies that come into range here are going to be slowed just a huge amount from that boosted grasp shard while gilded 48% while they're in the boost aura. Now let's take this one more step. Say, okay, let's now stack the slow from the boost aura with a Frostbite tower. Now the Frostbite tower slow is going to stack on top of the boost aura slow, dropping these enemies down to like 20 to 25%, I'm not even sure the exact number, of their normal movement speed. You can see it straight up when they're walking, their feet just barely get off the ground as they take each step further. Now we're only at 120 DU though, so let's take this one step further. Say you wanted to throw maybe even more CC in the mix and go with Proton Beams. We know Proton Beams have the ability to slow and the ability to stun through their freeze. So what if you went with something like that? Now, only 60 DU spent now, you could even take it further again. You could say throw a fissure down in the area here next to it. You could throw something else in the back, like a poison dart tower, for example. And let's take a look at the damage potentials that we get once we engage Frosty Power in this type of situation. So let's go ahead and throw the Flame Aura down. We're starting off at 1.56 tooltip DPS. Then we're going to buff it with Destructive Pylon. That's going to take it on up to a 1.87 mil. Then let's go ahead and throw that Boost Aura down. And this is going to jack it up very, very nice, up to 2.21 mil now. However, let's go ahead and take that next step and get the Frostbite in the mix. And there's several benefits you're going to get here, which I'll explain here in a sec. First off, let's throw that Frostbite down, and then now let's take a look at it. Now we're coming in over 3 million tooltip DPS. Now, one of the main benefits here is I'm almost at the max range on my Flame Auras. My Lightning Strike Aura is going to hit like an absolute truck versus those Lady Orcs and then any of the boss mobs, because I like to do that anti-stacking Lightning Strike Aura. Plus, all the enemies are going to be moving at like a quarter speed. So you can kind of make your own choice in your head, but do you want your defense to hit 50%, 75% harder? Or do you want that defense to hit 3, 4, 5 more times? I mean, the math just doesn't even compare. Slowing the enemies down, you're completely maximizing your defenses and letting them get off the maximum number of shots, and in addition, you're still getting massive power out of your DPS defenses that you're using, and taking the benefit of near the maximum range on those defenses. So hopefully this helps everyone understand a few different ways you can build your boost auras. There are just lots of utility shards for boost auras, and by all means play around with them. There's no wrong decision with boost auras. If you're going to use them, just make the choice. Do you want to go CC? Do you want to go raw power? And then kind of swap the utility shards in and out from there. Now, I know somebody's going to mention that Drain Aura mod. I'm going to go ahead and say I personally think that mod is one of the worst mods in the game. I really feel like there's a 0 left off, and that mod should be hitting way, way harder for much more damage. The one benefit that mod has is there's no 10 target limit like there is with other AoE defenses in the game. However, in my opinion, it's just not worth a mod slot to use that mod. Now, if you want to use Drain Aura, go ham, it's your game, and how you do it is completely up to you. So once again, hopefully this gives everyone some ideas on what to do with their boost auras. And thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to click that like button, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know down in the comments below what defense spotlight you would like to see. So thank you once again, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy.